Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Credits and Chords. I am your host, Practical, and I'm joined by two hombres.
Danny boy.
Drex.
And today we're talking about Seattle, Washington rapper Grieves. He's part of the underground rap scene, mostly here in the US. He's released 6 full length albums and several EPs. He is on Rhymesayers Entertainment production label. You guys probably have heard that label with other rappers like Atmosphere, Aesop Rock, Idea and Abilities, and Evidence. But today we're going to focus on 5 projects, I'll call them, because technically 2 of these are considered EPs, even though I don't know why. But 2 of these projects, but out of the 5, we're going to talk Irreversible from 2007, Confessions of Mr. Modest from 2010, Together Apart from 2011, Winter and the Wolves from 2014, and the collections of Mr. Nice Guy 2019, as well as 88 Keys and Counting. Danny?
Wow. That was a mouthful.
We got to give the artist a nice little introduction, It's
Yeah.
like we're talking about this person and why.
They've got a lot. He's got a lot.
Yeah, he does. So, how do you guys feel about Greaves? I mean, I know how Rex feels because he picked him.
Of course, you know how he feels.
Yeah. So, why don't you tell us, Danny, how do you feel about Greaves?
I can't say that I get super pumped every time it's a hip hop artist, but that's just my preference. I still am not like some people that are not with us today that just won't do it because they're just silly gooses. So I listened to it. I listened to all of it actually, including the 88 keys, and I thoroughly enjoyed it for the most part. I was telling you guys earlier, with all the songs I was trying to pick that I like the most, because there are a few draggers on some of those for me at least. That didn't really fully keep my interest, but of all those albums, every like first track really got me hooked. So I liked that about him. Kind of got you pumped up and hopefully keep the momentum going. But yeah, like I said, for me and my listening experience, listening to all of these, it kind of went up and down. There were definitely some bangers, and there were definitely ones that were forgettable to me at least. So, but yeah, it was good hip hop, very articulate with his words. I like that. That's a big plus for me because again, one of the reasons I don't usually like it is I feel like they either talk too fast or they don't pronunciate, and I'm fucking lost. And by the time I'm trying to decipher what they said, they're already like 3 verses ahead. So that was
Fair.
that
That's
was
fair.
that was comforting. That was very comforting. And yeah, he reminds me a lot of Atmosphere. Surprisingly enough, him being on one of the tracks or whatever, but uh, gave me that vibe, and a lot of the beats. Loved pretty much all of the beats, honestly. I don't think that those guys get enough credit when you talk about some of these hip hop artists, like their DJs. Who were you? What was his name again? Ant, right? Rex from Atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
producer.
Okay.
Or the
Like I
other
feel
half.
like yeah, those guys definitely get their flowers, but I feel like I don't know. Maybe I appreciate it more than I do like the lyrics, because certain people prefer listening to the lyrics over the music. I like the music slash the beats over the lyrics. So it wasn't too bad for me.
For sure, yeah, I know what you're saying with the producer. It really depends because some that's in rap. Like some of the producers are some of the biggest names in the game. Like Kanye, RZA from Wu Tang,
Rick
um,
Rubin.
Rick Rubin, uh, Dr. Dre. There are a lot of people like that. But yeah, in the underground, that's kind of why I like Atmosphere and Idea and Abilities, because both of those producers, they're included in the mix just in their names, basically. Slug, it's not just like, oh, I love Slug. People are like, I love Atmosphere because they love the duo. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, Rex, Greaves.
Uh, I really like this guy. As we were talking about earlier, I found him pretty early on. I can't remember from who. It was either an ex girlfriend or my brother, obviously one of them. So I'm gonna bet on my brother. But
Well,
No,
he
he's
is a
just
white rapper, so
Right.
it
he
probably was
he
true.
is like he's dude's a
He
library
is
of
John
white
Cena.
rappers, and that's why I never see him. But uh, no, so I liked him. I hooked on to him because at the time I found him, I was balls deep in emo music and stuff like that, and I've always considered Grieves to be kind of the first like real emo type rapper.
I'm slowly starting to understand that. When you said that to me earlier, I was like, okay, trying to like go back and listen to some of the lyrics or like just some of the like the tones of the song. That makes complete
A lot
sense.
of it, yeah, a lot of it's about heartbreak and like dealing with the past, like dealing with
Mm,
his drinking and how he knows it bothers, just stuff like that. It more talks about that rather than like most rap, which is I'm a
pretty,
badass.
yeah, pretty
I don't know. I really
demeaning to
like rap.
women.
Yeah, it's all part of the charm, though. It's all part
Is
of the
it?
charm.
Is it?
Yeah, it really is. I
That
mean, it
charming
really
for
is.
you folks?
It might not
I
be the
hate it.
right phrasing, but
Ugh.
yeah,
It's
rap is
just a
definitely
level
that.
of like boasting that ego is such a huge part of
Oh, yeah,
rap.
dude,
So
it is,
I
and
mean,
Greaves obviously is just not so much of that. But anyways, I've always enjoyed this guy. I've met him quite a few times, and he's always been super awesome, super cool guy. As they usually are when they're not huge stars. So it's always cool to talk to people like this. But no, I'm a fan of just his beats. He's a huge jazz guy. Like you can hear it in all his music, all his beats. He always incorporates jazz and piano and all that, and he talks about it a lot in his childhood. Um, yeah, I don't know. He's everything he's done. I dig from his first album to even now. I feel like he's as most rappers, they kind of change their style a bit, and I feel like he's definitely quite a bit different to me now. But I still like it all. There's not a lot of artists I follow for this long that I'm like, hell yeah, all the way through for me, they're solid.
hell
But
yeah,
Bruce is one of them, and yeah, I'll probably listen to everything he puts out.
hell yeah. For me personally, I first heard him. I had a Warp Tour sampler, and the song "Bloody Poetry" from the album "Together Apart" was on there, and it was right as I was starting to get into the underground rap scene. Because, like Danny is saying, I really couldn't find the gangster rap relatable. But the
Mm,
beautiful part about the underground stuff is it made me go back and appreciate the gangster rap
mm-hmm.
because they use their words in such a creative way too, but it's totally different. It's very metaphor heavy and very like I don't know, kind of it's definitely not for everyone. I can give it that, and I didn't like it growing up, but these guys, Greaves, Sadistic, Atmosphere, Mac Lethal, Aesop Rock, they actually are the ones that got me to get into rap in general because then I
Mm-hmm.
went back and became a huge Wu Tang fan, revisited Dre. Oh, always loved Eminem, but like I'm so glad I stepped into a bigger ring of this genre because of these guys. So I will always love Greaves for that. Um, Unfortunately, though, he's one of those guys where and it's not him, it's me that didn't really keep following his music. I have heard the newer albums, but they don't grab me like the older albums did. 88 Keys and Together are part of my favorites. So, and I can say that about a lot of artists. There are just sometimes where an artist will get just locked into this era for me, and it's like, yeah, I love some of the stuff that comes after it, but it doesn't hit me as much. I mean, like I told you, Rex, one of my favorite songs is on Winter and the Wolves, so there is later stuff I like, but it's like, yeah. So anyway, I love Greaves, and I would also give your brother partial credit because when I mentioned that song on that album, then he's like, "Oh, you never heard him before? Let me show you these other songs," and then that's what got me into him full circle. So, another one going to J. Rome more than likely here on that one. So, you guys will hear that a lot when we talk about white rappers because he's a dictionary of that.
Dude, my favorite is when he's drunk, and if you talk to him about a rapper and he tries to show me one, it doesn't matter what's going on around. He will turn the rapper on his phone and he'll walk up to you and he'll put it up to your ear for you to
Yeah, he's
listen
done
to.
that to me. Yeah.
It's
Just look you in the eye and be
uh,
like, "Give me a reaction." Come
he's
on.
like this. He's like
Yeah.
this, just shaking his head, and then it's fucking hilarious. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Um, well, let's talk a little bit about Greaves lyrically. We mentioned lyrics already being a major part to us. Like for this genre, I care about the lyrics a lot. And I've mentioned to you guys,
Absolutely.
rock lyrics are kind of whatever to me. But for hip hop like this, where it's like I'm trying to relate to it, and it's from the point of view of maybe an everyman, or I'm listening to a story being told to me, or even if it is the ego boasting, it's more like in line with how I guess I would approach it if I was doing it. So it's really relatable in that regard. So tell me how you guys feel about Senor Greaves and his lyrics.
Senor Grieves.
Like I said, I don't really pay attention to the lyrics, so from a more generic point of view, it's not like I don't remember some of the lines he drops, because some of those, you're like, oh, that was kind of sick. Um, but like, Rex was saying earlier, it seems like there's a lot of, heartbreak going on in this guy's life, whether, he can't keep a relationship because, like, I think he's got a song called Bottom of the Bottle. I actually like that song.
Sweet
Um,
song.
right. And so, he seems to be dealing with some inner struggles that I feel like you were saying practical are a little bit more relatable with us. Um, Not just because the guy's a white rapper, but it's not using slang terms and using, terminology that we're not super familiar with outside of rap music. And I feel like a lot of times, especially when I've listened to rap music, I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? Like I like some of those words are just going over my head. But this, it's a little bit easier. Like I was saying, it's more articulated. You can actually follow what he's saying. He's not going at a super fast speed, so it's a little bit easier to kind of paint a picture in your head while you're listening to the song. So there was definitely a few times where I felt that, but I've felt that kind of type of energy with atmosphere too. So maybe that's why I kind of related a little bit, resonated a little bit more easier than I thought it would. But lyrically, I mean, he's got good flow to him. I guess now going back, I should probably listen to him again and think of it more on an emo point of view, have a emo perspective now that you said that. Because I'm like, oh man, maybe this guy's like the Hawthorne Heights of rap or something, dude. Like, but
Maybe not that dramatic, but
no,
yeah,
I
no,
know,
I
I
could,
know, I
but yeah,
know.
I would say probably
But
something of that.
he
Mm,
came up in that era, so like if you were listening to like emo and post-hardcore and metalcore and shit, and you were also into rap, you listened to these guys, Greaves and
sure, sure,
Sadistic and
sure.
Christoph
Dude,
Crane
the
and shit.
dude looked like
Yeah,
an emo kid. He had the hair swoop, the pierced lip, like he wore a
Oh my
hat
god.
with he looked like if
yeah,
he wasn't a rapper, he might be in a band. An emo
yeah,
I think
for
I'll
band.
sign
sure.
up for From First to Last, dude. I think I
Yeah,
might get in.
I
Hell
was
yeah.
originally My Chemical Romance's lead singer, but it didn't pan out.
Man, I could see that,
Didn't
man.
work
I could
out.
see that. That's tight though.
I'm not okay. Um, no, I like Greaves' lyrics, especially early on. He's always kind of hit me and just, I feel like every rapper has like to everybody that like song that is like their best song, whether it's lyrically or whatever, like if you've ever heard of a group called I'm spacing their name right now. Either way, they're a great group. They're another rap group. Who cares? They're named Who Cares. They have a song,
What?
yeah, they're named Who
You
Cares.
spaced on Who Cares?
Who cares?
The
Uh
name just did its job.
yeah, who cares?
Oh.
No, but anyways, so they all just have songs, and for this guy, it's called "If Luck Was a Lady." Like it's on his first album, and I think the chorus to that is kind of just how great he is at writing and stuff, especially coming from his first album, because it's like, if luck was a lady, she'd never let me buy that drink. The tongue slipping in my eyes won't blink, and if your God was a woman, her boyfriend would beat her kids. Now I got more scars than teenager wrists. And if the time was my father, he missed all of my birthdays, drinking with his friends, and now he's hurting in a worse way. Like that right there, I think that's a crazy play on all these different things, like with time, God, all this type of things, and to put it in kind of a perspective of, I don't know if this is how he grew up. I don't know anything like that, but it seems
Well,
like,
it said he was born in Chicago, but he like kind of bounced around a little bit before, settling down in Seattle.
yeah, or Colorado when he was younger, and then I think Seattle,
Right.
New York. He's been all over, like you said. He's bounced around, but I don't know. It's just like, I don't know, especially on the first album, that I've always remembered this chorus every time. Like, I don't know, every time I see things like with kids not living life really well or like having it bad. because for a while I lived in just a tweaker town, so like I see all these little kids, and this is kind of a chorus that comes to my head. Like, is this the kind of life they live? Like, this is how they see the world and everything. And I don't know. So with Greaves, I agree. He's just a really good storyteller, along with like atmosphere and like these level of artists. Like they don't have to be still. How do I say it? They just know how to tell a story that everyone can relate to without you having to be into rap, because the rap has a lot of nuances in it and the things that they say, especially modern rap these days. So like you have to be up with the times, up with a lot of things going on, and these guys are more able to tell a more cohesive, articulate story that everybody can get with. So yeah, that was a long ramble. Thank you. This is my TED
Yeah,
talk.
and you rapped.
We thank you for your Rex talk.
And Rex rap.
No, yeah, I agree with everything you guys have both have said about his lyrics, and I find him relatable in a lot of ways because of the emo aspect thing that you mentioned. And it's like I also think about he talks about situations I've been in personally, and that's the song on Winter and the Wolves that I talked about. The song "Kidding Me." I've been in that situation before where I've been like dumped by a girl, and then she'll get with a new dude, and then she's asking me like, so who you with? And it's like, well, what the hell do you care? You broke up with me and you're with this other person, you know? And that's what Kidding Me is about. And
Such a great song.
it is. And there's just a couple lines I really like and he breaks to sing sometimes, and, sometimes I don't like when rappers do that, but I do like when Greaves does that.
Greaves is always tactful when he does it.
Yeah, he like snipes it in there and it works in a good way. Um, and I like it's those lines where he says like, "I used to say that I loved you. I used to act like a fool, but now I hear that you're wondering if the girl that I run with is treating me cool." And I'm like, yeah, see that's super relatable and it's very like minimal. And then just I feel like the hook to that song. You could be drunk at a bar, fucking crying your eyes out with all your boys about your situation, and you could all be singing that part that you fucking gotta be kidding me, like it's
Oh
just
yeah, that'd be
the
tight.
it fucking just it's got to be one of my favorite hip hop hooks probably ever, honestly, just because again I do relate to it so hard. I like the way he approaches it and sings it. um and I don't really care for the rest of that album as much. There are other songs I like on it, but that one stands out to me. It's like a super big deal to me for whatever reason, especially the Audio Tree live version that we talked about.
Dude, it's so
um
good. So good.
yeah, if you guys check out this episode and you like what you're hearing and you want to check out more, check out Grieves' performance on Audio Tree Live. It's like 20-30 minute little video, and he just does a bunch of these songs with an acoustic guitar in a little tight knit studio. And it's just, there's a bunch of them for these types of artists, and it's sick. But Grieves is really good. Um, but yeah, everything else that you guys said is definitely on point. Like I said, he's the emo rapper, like you guys were saying, and I've always felt that way about him as well. Because again, found him during that time period, so all his lyrics are relatable in that regard, like depression, suicidal thoughts, just whatever your mind can put you through. I think Greaves has kind of gone through, and he puts it down for sure. I think that's the best thing I could say about him with this
Put it
stuff.
down.
Yeah. But let's move on to the music aspects, which we talked about this a couple weeks ago when we first talked about him, and I think I brought it up. And Jason's a huge advocate for him as well. But a lot of his production, I don't know about all of it. I didn't do a shitload of research here because, like I said, I've kind of fallen off with the newer stuff. But a lot of his production was done by Budo, and Budo is very cool. And he does the
So
jazzy,
good.
bluesy shit that you were mentioning. He's like a master of that stuff, and I'd even have some of his solo albums where it's just instrumentals and they're soothing. They're tight. I put them on to go to sleep sometimes. They're just,
A little ASMR.
yeah, he's just, yeah, he's got a certain way about him where, whatever he might be expressing musically, you just can relate without it even having words.
And he
So when
just
it's,
does all of 88 keys with him too, right?
yeah, he
Yeah.
does. Yeah,
And I think he does Together Apart. Is
he
that the last
does.
one he does? That's the last one I think he does with Greaves.
Yeah, and that's why those are two of my favorites because they're just Budo at his peak
For sure.
musically, and
Budo is
like
tight.
Man, and Together Apart, that was the tour I saw him at. I actually have a signed copy of that one too, which is cool as hell.
Yeah, I
Um,
got a couple signed copies of the very few CDs I still own. I own most of
Ooh,
Grieves, and they're I
what's a
think almost
CD?
all of them.
yeah, what is a CD? Um, all right,
Don't
well,
let me tell you about floppy drives. Whoa,
how do you feel about
into the
the
dinosaurs.
musical aspects of this, Danny?
Oh, like I said, for me, a lot of this hip hop is enjoyable, and that I don't mind listening to if it's got good beats and good music. And I feel like every single one of these ones of these albums were really really good. I think the only one I didn't care for too much was Confessions of Mr. Modest. That one was okay, but I still had like three songs on there I really liked. And then Mr. Nice Guy too. So yeah, maybe I wasn't feeling those ones as much as the, like Winter and the Wolves. I don't know why that was my favorite one. I liked that
I really
that
like
whole
that
entire
album.
album. Yeah, it's really good.
Hell yeah,
So, but yeah, musically, like you were saying, that
Budo.
Budo. I like the piano. That's a lot of what drew me to Atmosphere, using a lot of piano like he had on there, or flutes or anything like that, woodwinds or what have you. So like the piano is a big plus for me for sure. And then just kind of experimenting with that, whether that's synthesizer or like guitar or something like that. And then yeah, the singing I don't really mind. I know that might bother some people when it's like some good hip hop and then all of a sudden the guy starts singing. Like that doesn't bother
Right?
me.
Yeah, that's
It's
Grieves for
okay.
sure.
It
Yeah,
just
and
depends. It just depends on
yeah,
who that rapper is, you
but I
know.
liked it. I thought it worked well, and I thought he's got a good voice, and why not?
Hell yeah.
Anybody that can do dual duties. My favorite example is Courtney LaPlante. I mean, she's a beautiful singing voice, but damn, dude, she throws it down, she
Oh
screams.
man, she can
Yeah,
roar.
so
Yeah.
I appreciate that he does that because I feel like Slug doesn't really have a good singing voice if he's tried to. More or less, Greaves actually has a pretty decent voice. So
Atmosphere is all right. He does some singing sometimes. If you ever listen to Southsiders and Arthur's song, he has a short spot that he sings and it sounds pretty good. But either way, I agree with both of you guys. I love his singing parts. I love it. I love seeing him live when he sings because he always does some little weird jig while he does it. Like he's about
like
to
he's
sing.
nervous or something.
Something I don't know, man, but he always does this weird, like some kind of weird little dance when he sings, and I like, yeah, he gets all weird. He does something, and I
It's
love
all
it.
like just rigor mortis, just like
Like, yeah, he's just, I don't know, it's fucking sweet. It's awesome, and I do think he's also really good at it, and I also love his ability to do these raps, and he helps a lot. Obviously, like they all do with making the beats and producing and all that, and he does a lot of producing himself now. But that he can just strip it all down to a guitar and just a guitar and a piano, and he can still somehow turn the song into I don't know. It's really tactful, bloody poetry, and like you said, the whole audio tree, the 30-minute thing was just great. It's great, and he's great. I love his style. I love the jazz in it. I love all the piano he uses, and now he's getting more deep into that synthesizer type stuff. Like I think he's pretty good at it. I'm not usually a huge fan of stuff like that, but like Winter and the Wolves, he really went hard on it, and then he hasn't kind of stopped since then. So I really like it, and I think he's doing good. My only thing is I feel like
You're doing good.
you it's pretty good. It's all
You
good.
hear that, Greaves? You're doing good.
You're doing.
pretty good.
You're doing fantastic, bro. Did you reactivate our Twitter after I nuked it?
I sure did, but Twitter X is now so different. You gotta like be friends with them or follow them. They gotta follow you back to send a message.
Mm.
So Graves, you ever hear this? Follow me back, dude. Okay,
Yeah,
can't
we were
send
trying to
you a
get him.
message.
Yeah, he was trying to get him to listen to it and give it a shout out to his fans like we did for Sadistic because he's got that more approachable fan base. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna tag him in it when we post this. I'm gonna tag it up and post it to him on his page and stuff. See what he
Thanks, Grease.
see what he does. Hopefully, he listens to it. He's
Yeah.
always in Reno too, or at least usually one time a year he comes to Reno.
Yeah, that's. I think I've seen him twice. I could maybe even have seen him 3 times. I know I saw him for Together Apart, and I know I saw him for Winter and the Wolves, but there might have been one more time in between that or before it. No, probably in between it, if anything. But yeah, I love that he comes here. I love that all those underground dudes come here. Like we're
Showing the
actually,
love.
yeah, that's the one thing that we don't get shunned on is underground rappers. Like they'll definitely come. Like Palmer Squares are coming back.
Dude, I'm
Man,
stoked. I'm stoked.
I'm stoked for that too, and I can't wait for us to do an episode on that because I honestly think out of all the rappers we've done, that will be the one that sticks with Danny the most because it's like
Dude, they're so good.
it's
They're
just
so good.
sick. Like lyrically, they're like almost untouchable. They're
Maybe.
fucking they're sick.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, maybe. It maybe. But Term and Prac or Term
I wish.
yeah, Term and Prac here. They're really great. They
Yeah,
be killing it.
terminal knowledge
Acumenal
and
and
acumenal.
Acumenal, yeah,
Yeah,
Term and Ac. It's
yeah,
Ac, not Prac, sorry. But they're great. I think you'll like them too, Danny. I'm glad you kind of like Grieves. Like you didn't just be like, nah, this guy's sucks. Because I know your take on just rappers in general and rap. So when we throw these ones, I'm kind of like, where's Danny gonna land on this one? I wonder.
yeah. But that's what's sick about Danny, and that's why he was perfect for the show too. Is because he's open minded. Like he's not. He'll
I'll let
give.
you know if I hate it. I
Yeah,
will.
Yeah, for sure.
and you'll give anything a chance too, which is like that's how I am too. Like
Yeah.
I'll listen or watch anything once,
It
play it
might be
once.
something that I like, but it's like, oh, if we're gonna do some research on it, sure, why not?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, for
hell yeah.
sure, man. That's how you learn new things.
All right, well let's start getting into these projects. We'll kick it off with Irreversible 2007.
Yup.
This one was pretty interesting introduction for me. Well, I did hear that one pretty early on as well. Like I said, right after I mentioned it to Jason, he just fucking exploded Grieves shit at me. Like, here's these videos, here's these albums, listen to all this shit. So I got pretty into it. So I'm curious what you guys will think about this one.
Dude, Fly Away is great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is a
I
good
was
one.
gonna
Yeah.
say that was the first track. Obviously, caught my ear. Um, I liked this album. Was probably my second favorite one. I don't know why I feel like I gravitate more to a lot of these debut albums when you know the artist could obviously either get a lot better or maybe get a lot worse. But I always like to give that their stepping point of for my ear. Like, okay, this is what I'm gonna expect for the future ones to come. Obviously, evolving either worse or better. But I really like this one, Fly Away. Bottom of the Bottle, which is the one I mentioned earlier. Clearly, I don't know if he had a drinking issue or he was like trying to drink himself to death, but that going back to the emo lyrics, if you will. I Hate Your Soul was a pretty good song. I don't know who's featured on that. Somebody did some
P Smooth.
P Smooth. Yes, yes, that was I like that guy. That was sweet. Scar Gardens was a good one, and then The Room We Hide In. Those were the ones that could have stood out to me. But overall, this was a really good album. It was a good start.
Oh, yeah.
This is a
Ding.
great album. This is a great album, but this one doesn't become my favorite, even though a lot of these songs are, because there's 4 or 5 songs on here that he has these features that I do not care for at all.
No.
Like Front Foot Planted. There's another one, Last Call. I did not like that song. Last Call. I can't ever get over that. But outside of that, yeah, this album starts off great. Fly Away is like an up in your face, like it's got the jazz in it, just like it's great. I love it. Unedible is a great song. I mean, I could just keep on naming more, but probably the best are Another Love, Scar Gardens, If Luck Was a Lady, and Irreversible. I mean, I like this whole album pretty much, except for those few. But
Isn't it automatic if it's the song titled after the album? It's got to be good.
I hope, man, because sometimes
99% of the time.
Right? I feel
Yeah.
like you got it.
Yeah.
if you
That's like when
name
you watch a movie and they say the name of the movie in the movie, and you're like, oh.
if you
Hell
name
yeah, he said it.
if you name a song after an album and it sucks, that album's probably gonna suck.
I agree. Yeah,
I mean, like,
it's pretty rare, but yeah,
it's
I mean,
rare, so
like the album is bad if that happens too. Like if that has occurred, and then you're like, oh, you tanked the name of the
the
album song
title
already.
track.
Like, how are you gonna do that? Yeah, so it's pretty much, yeah, it's bad news. Bad news bears.
No, this album is great, and I think it's actually lyrically my favorite of his. I think it's
Really?
at his best, and yeah, I think even coming against 88 Keys, which I do really like. I did not put it on this list due to that. I wanted to give a wide range of his music as I could.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I even compared to that one, I think this album just the writing is a lot. He was just on point with this whole one. Like that whole verse I did from If Luck Was a Lady. I think Scar Gardens also is another one he wrote amazing. Another Love. Like that's a rough song to make, like talking about, you know, loving somebody, but like you shouldn't have to ask them to go pursue your dream. But like
Absolutely.
how do you deal with that situation? Like
That ain't love, man.
yeah, it's like I just like I said, I think this album's really good lyric wise. He's top notch on this album.
Top notch.
Copy.
Toppy, tippy top.
I really like this album too. A couple, my really only big complaint on this album is it feels a little bit long for a debut album. There's quite a few
Yeah, there was a
tracks.
lot of tracks.
I mean, it is 2007. We're in the era of like 22 track albums.
Yeah, totally. I get that. I've never been a fan of that. I've never been a fan
No,
of like
same.
over bloating an album, and rap and hip hop are definitely notoriously guilty of it. But so is rock does it a shitload too, to the point where I'm like, why? How the fuck is this album this long? You could have cut off like 6 tracks and it would be a masterpiece, but now it's only okay. Like,
Like Blink 182's new album, it didn't need to be 16 tracks. 12 probably would have been. They cut out a few of those.
I agree. Yeah, that was definitely an issue there. Yeah, it's just I don't know. There's no reason to do that shit, honestly. But yeah, for this album, I love "He Won't Answer" and "Bottom of the Bottle" like you guys have brought up. I think that song is really good, and obviously the title track "Irreversible" is good. Um, I can't remember if it was this song or not, but there was a time where Jason and I were talking about this album, and he was like, "I don't think you'll really like that Capitol Hill Girls song." And I started laughing. He might have said it about either this or Guinevere from the other album. But either way, I actually do really like that song. I like both of those songs, ironically, which is hilarious. But it always just made me laugh because sometimes he'll say that and he's dead on, and then other times I'm like, no, I like that song. That song's tight.
That is to trip because I think Capitol Hill Girls is one of the worst songs Grieves has. I
I
just don't
think
care for it.
I like it because it shows a different side of Greaves from the rest of the album. So it shows that he can kind of do the more like not necessarily relatable but upbeat kind of just throwaway track that most people probably would think is a throwaway track, but there's going to be that small sect of people that walk away going like that song's kind of a banger.
Song's so sick.
Yeah. Half Empty, Rebecca, The Room We Hide In. Yeah, most of the album's pretty good. I'd say there's probably just 4 or 5 songs I'd cut from it, but other than that, I
Yeah.
enjoy it. I think it's a really strong debut for sure. I do think he gets better, but I get where both of you are coming from. I also love debut albums. Those are usually my shit. Whenever I'm collecting music, it's usually debut and sophomore albums that I buy first, and then if things go well, I'll continue. But if they don't, it's usually those two that I end up just being stuck with. So, well, stuck with is not the right term, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Wanted there to be more going
Nope, you
forward, but
already
there
said it.
wasn't. That's true. It's on record now. Um, all right, well, let's move on to the next one on the list here, "The Confessions of Mr. Modest," which super weird because I see it classified as an album some places, and then other places as an EP. And that's too, for my knowledge of EPs, it's too long to be an EP.
It's
It's
an
an album
album
length.
according
Yeah,
to Greaves and Budo. They said it's an album that was shaved down to be what was necessary.
okay,
But
that makes more
also,
sense.
if yeah, anyways, I think that's what they said. Yeah, it was just shaved down.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense because I mean it's still definitely album length. I don't know why it gets grouped into that, but anyway, it came out in 2010, and yeah, it's I don't think Budo didn't do Irreversible, did he? I'm not sure on
No,
that.
I don't think Budo did.
Yeah,
I think the first. It's hard to say because you have to go off third party sites because Wikipedia. He's not big enough to have Wikipedia
right.
for most of his stuff. So it's all, but I'm pretty sure Budo came in on this album.
That's what I was getting at. I wanted to mention. I think this is their first collaboration, and you can tell the direction that now Grieves is going to be on for like the next 7 years or so, basically. And it's my favorite direction. So,
For sure.
Confessions
Well,
of Mr. Modest.
yeah.
Yeah, this one and the collections of Mr. Nice Guy were like the least two favorites of me. Just personally, I don't know. There wasn't too many songs that kind of caught my ear. Ones I wrote down for sure I like though. Heat Stroke was good. Wind Chill, Ghost Ship. Those were the ones that kind of stood out to me. But yeah, this one was just okay. I think because I listened to it after 88 Keys, I lean more towards liking that 88 Keys a little bit more. Um, Even though I think it's the same year. So I don't know. Um, but yeah, it was just an okay album EP, whatever you want to call it for me.
Understandable. I get where you're coming from. It's not for me. It's not his best work either. So I get it. I just think it tells you like, hey, I'm about to do these things for a set amount of time, and here's my new producer kind of thing. Rex?
I'm the opposite. This is my favorite album by him.
Hell yeah.
I think this album's sick, and I just wonder where he decided to go, because he did this one and if Together Apart pretty much simultaneously. I think this is 2010, and then Together Apart is 2011. And if I remember right, he did part of this album while he was on Mac Lethal's label, which was Black Sheep or Black Elephant. I don't remember. It's got the Black Elephant symbol.
Yeah, I
I
can't
can't
remember.
remember.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Grieves was on his label, and whatever happened with them, they finished up this album, and then he kind of moved on to Together Apart. But I really like this album because this is on the cusp of him doing just a lot of touring, some things going on with his label, and he was kind of having some struggles, I guess, in his career and stuff. And he said he came home and kind of his life was also in shambles, like coming home. So he like wrote this on the back of that, and also his first real foray with Budo. So I think all that together makes just a really great album. Also, Smile for the Blade, War for the Crippled with POS is awesome. I like those. Are my first time hearing
POS?
him.
POS rules, dude.
Yeah,
That's
it was my
awesome.
first time hearing him, and I was like, holy shit, this guy's sick. So I ended up listening to him now from this Wind Chill, Purgatory music, like, and Heartstroke with Cunning Linguist. I think that was a great song, but no, this whole album I think nails it, and it's my favorite. Not taking anything away from Together Apart because I really like Together Apart as well, but this album I think for me just trumps everything.
Yeah, I get that. It's got a lot of great moments, I think. I mean, Ghost Ship is good. Dirt Nap Nightmares. I mean, Out of My Mind. Smile for the Blade. Smile for the Blade is probably the best song on the album to me personally.
Out of My Mind, I don't even really like. like being honest, that song I don't know why, but I'm usually a fan of his singing songs, but
Sometimes it just doesn't
it
land.
doesn't land.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it just doesn't land.
Was it? I've been singing Journey songs in my house.
That's one that kind of reminds me more of Atmosphere a little bit. Just with the storytelling and shit,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not one of my favorite albums by him. So it's crazy to hear you say that because I thought for sure Winter and the Wolves was your favorite album by him.
No,
But hell yeah. Well,
that album's tight, but not my favorite.
yeah, for me, it's still good. I mean, I don't take anything away from this one either. I really like it, but it's not like, you know, I don't know. I want to like it more than I do, I guess I should say, because again, this was something I was really into this shit at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and this album was in kind of constant play for me. But like, it just when I went back and listened to it the other day, I didn't like it as much. So I don't know. I feel indifferent to it now, I guess. Um, which I never want to happen, but sometimes that shit just happens. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Sometimes that's how the world goes, man. It's the way the cookie crumbles.
So let's talk Together Apart then. That one, I'm super excited to talk about that album. I think it's pretty great. Bloody Poetry, like I said, my first exposure to him and this album. So take us away, Danny boy.
This was a good one. I did like this one a lot. And again, I don't know if I'm like anticipating seeing drastic changes, even though these last couple ones have only been like a year apart. But I felt like there was definitely a change in this album versus the previous two we just talked about. Light Speed was obviously the first track on there, banger. On the Rocks, I really liked.
Beautiful piano.
Yeah, Pressure Cracks, and then Prize Fighter was probably my favorite song on there. But yeah, I could feel like his sound was getting a little bit better for me because after that first album, the next two that we listened to, it kind of fell off a little bit for me. I was like getting a little nervous, but this one kind of brought me back. So yeah, no, give me some more of that jazz.
Danny's sweating over there, putting on the new album, the first song.
Just keep it coming, baby.
Well, I think that's kind of what we were talking about before we fired up the recording session too. Is it's like Greaves is great, and I love when he tries new things. But the biggest problem he has is he holds himself back by never himself trying new things vocally. Like his flows are usually still kind of the same. Even when he sings, it kind of goes along the same patterns and shit. And I think that's kind of where he needs to like step outside his comfort zone and maybe try some new shit.
Always a bad thing.
It's not bad. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Because it's like it's in that fine line of like if I change too much, I might alienate my core fan base.
Right.
So it's like you gotta tread lightly with that kind of thing. But yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, this was a lot more of an enjoyable listen. That's for sure. I like this one.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. No, this album is so sick. This was the album I saw him play most of during the Warp Tour, which he ended the set with I Ate Your Soul, which was sweet. But and like I said, he looked like a lobster, like one of those crab people from South Park, because he was he's so fucking red. Yeah, like that's what he looked like. He was just so sunburnt from being out there in California. But no, this album's sweet. I agree with you. Lightspeed, I really like the start of that. I love the piano in that song and just how it feels. Yep, that's right.
Pretty good. Wow.
Bloody Poetry. I'm with Aaron on that song. That song's awesome, and I really love his acoustic rendition he does with it. It's just I think that's the ultimate version of this song, but still another great song. And then Pressure Cracks is my favorite on this album. This song suffers from something that pisses me off a lot with rap songs that happens sometimes in rock, but they'll do a really good song and only give it 2 verses.
Right.
Then they do another 2 minutes of just beat and sometimes repeating the chorus. And this song has got 2 really fucking sweet verses, and then he cuts it short. Cuts it short on that, and it just annoys the crap out of me because like you'll give a song that's okay 3 verses, it's like 6 minutes long, but then this song you're like 2's good. But then sometimes that's maybe like the sweet point. Maybe one more could have ruined it.
Thanks.
Yeah, no. So this song, and I really like the song. It's got some sweet lines. Like I really liked his line that says, "Losing personal relationships like people lose their house keys."
Mm.
Like this dude's always seemed to have had trouble with relationships. So hearing this kind of stuff, it just kind of paints a better picture with something as simple as that. Simple, yeah, as a line is like that. And I also really like Growing Pains, Against the Bottom. Yeah. Boogeyman is actually pretty freaking sweet. I really like this album.
I'm your boogeyman.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great album. I also really like the cover. And the packaging too, if you own it physically.
I sure do.
Yeah, I should have had it out because it's actually pretty sweet. And I could have
I got you.
Yeah. Because if you can show everyone kind of how it folds out, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I think it's a great album too. Lightspeed. It's another one of those super relatable songs. That hook is really relatable. You need to slow down every once in a while. Sometimes. Yeah. See, it's pretty sick.
Oh.
Yeah, it's got a floppy.
Yeah, that's better than the kids' pop-up book.
Dude, right?
It looks like one now that you mention it, actually.
Seriously, dude.
Yeah, Bloody Poetry, like I said, first song I heard by him. It has kind of like I like the music video too. It's kind of dark. It's got
Hell yeah.
um, Falling from You, On the Rocks, Sunny Side of Hell is one of my favorites on the album. Pressure Cracks, Heartbreak Hotel, yeah, the whole thing. Um, I can't remember. I was dating a girl at the time of this tour, and we went to this show, and she didn't like rap at all, and she's like, I don't want really want to see this guy, and I was like, oh come on, man, just give it a chance. And then when we left, she liked it a lot. She's like, oh man, that was actually really enjoyable, and now she just loves this shit. Like, we'll still talk from time to time, and she's always telling me about new rappers and shit, and it's all because we went to this Grieves show. So it makes me laugh because before this, she would talk all the shit you could talk about hip hop and like like oh, this is just garbage, none of it's ever good, and I'm like, oh, come on, get fucked. But
Oh, yeah, that's also a great thing about Greaves is he's not hard to get into.
yeah, and
Real
that's
good introductory, like you were saying.
when I try to get people into rap, I take your brother's approach now, which is always to show probably the best 5 underground rappers you can find. And like they're not always white rappers either, actually, like Blueprint. I don't know if you're familiar with Blueprint. He is
Yeah.
badass. I always love to bring him up because nobody really mentions him anymore, but I got super into him at the time, and he's actually someone I still listen to his newer stuff and I like a lot. Um, but yeah, I always pick like 5 of these guys and like, hey, if you're into metal or if you're into rock, coming from that on my own, like this is the good way to get into it because it has a lot of other elements in it, like jazz and sometimes some soft rock elements with the acoustics, like we talked about, and then the real relatable lyrical stuff. And it's not to say the gangster rappers don't have relatable shit. Like when we talk about Wu
Right.
Tang in a few months or a couple of months, I'm gonna get super into that shit. Like they're relatable, but there's so much to unpack with their metaphors and shit that you're like, oh fuck,
Oh, you're
that
from
actually
the
hit
hood,
me.
G, or what?
Yeah, I mean, with some of that shit, I understand it for show,
Oh, damn. All right.
but not everything. Obviously, I'm
See,
not a fucking gangster, but not all of the music is about
you
that.
just sounded like it, so I'm a little scared now.
Better lock your car when you go to his house.
Yeah, for real. Um, but yeah, Together Apart. If I could tell anybody out there listening to this who's not familiar with Greaves, give this one a shot. Give this one probably the first shot if you can, because if it'll make or break whether you get into them or not.
First cut.
Yeah, exactly. First cut. Let's move on to the next one here, which is Winter and the Wolves, which features my favorite song by him. So, like we talked about a little bit earlier in the episode, take us away, Danny boy.
Guess what, guys? Another great opening track, Rain Damage.
Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah, it fired this album off right off the bat for me. Like you were saying earlier, Rex, I feel like he was experimenting more with like synthesizer, electronic, more vibes in this album, and maybe that's kind of why I like this one the best. Because I wasn't not liking the jazz aspect, but like wanted him to try something different. Kind of what you were saying earlier, practical about trying to expand your sound, if you will. But no, other than that, I liked both the tracks with B. Lewis, Over You, and How's It Gonna Go. That B. Lewis guy is legit.
Hell yeah, that dude
Love,
got
Yeah,
it.
love him. Yeah. He was the highlight of the album for me. He was really, really good. And then
yeah,
obviously Astronauts with my boy Slug. That was kind of cool. It was kind of like it would kind of remind me of like two brothers rapping with each other, like identical twins or something like that. Gave me that vibe listening to them go back and forth. So yeah, this was my favorite album that we listened to for sure. I liked it a lot.
hell yeah, that's sick. I love that when that happens on the show. Like, I didn't expect that from either of you. Actually, I kind of expected it from Rex. I don't know why. I think maybe because we were talking about this album pretty heavy when it was first coming out. And I don't remember if we've talked about any of his newer stuff, which is a question I have for you towards the end of the episode. But um, yeah, I love when that happens. I love when you throw curveballs at me like that. It's awesome.
Get curved.
Curved as hell.
What about you,
All right.
Rex?
I do really like this album. Not my favorite, but I did have this when it came out. I was living in Washington and I was running a Cap 2 team and I showed this to everyone.
Hell yeah.
I was like, dude, this album's so sick. You gotta listen to it. And I was giving it to everybody. Some dude had just gone through a heart, like his wife had cheated on him and stuff. And I gave him a
Jeez.
copy of this album, and he's like, when I came to work one day, and his name was Sean. And he's like, dude, I've been listening to this album on repeat. He's like, this is crazy. I've never related to like some of these songs, especially the B. Lewis songs, as much as like I ever have. He's like, dude, it's crazy. I was like, dude, it's a good album.
That's how it works.
But no, this album is really sweet. I love the start of it again, Rain Damage. I really like the second one, like Woe Is Me. My dog died when you were 6. Oh, really? Well, I guess I never gotten over. Like it just starts off. It's great. It's a great song. I actually don't really care for the Slug song. I skipped this song, honestly. I don't hate it, but like I don't
Man.
know. I don't know what about it. I skipped this one though.
I like that song too. I don't. That's weird. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. I know. I thought I would like it because I do really like Slug and Atmosphere, but like this song just kind of just went for me.
Flatlined, yeah.
Yeah, flatline, dude. It's
For real.
it's sorry, just did. Sorry to both Grieves and Slug. I thought it was gonna be a powerhouse song, like something sick, but no, didn't land for me. Breath of Air is probably my favorite song on this album. It's got a real just kind of sad just piano to it, and he's really kind of hits it on the lyrics. Like I really like his the child in me is running through the yard while the man that I'm supposed to be is searching for a breath in this cigar smoke choking. Like it's just it. He just nails it again. Like he just doesn't seem like he's still just kind of lost. Like he's a rapper. He is who he is, but he's still just kind of figuring out how to deal with himself and how to deal with his life. I guess I don't know. This album is just another one I really like. Also, Smoke in the Night, Kidding Me, long one. Even Recluse is great. So yeah, this album is great.
Hell yeah.
9 out of 10.
I like this album. I don't love this album. It was the last one that I paid a decent amount of attention to. I'm not gonna lie. Not because of again, not Grieves. It's me. I just moved on from some of this shit. So I enjoy this album though. I do like it. I think there's a lot of great songs on it, and I do also really like that astronaut song with Slug. I don't know why. I just think it works. The two of them together work really well. Um, and then obviously, Kidding Me is on here, so that's that's my favorite one. I also really like Recluse and Autumn, and yeah, the Over You with B. Lewis is a good one. That's one thing I like about hip hop a lot is there'll always be like some random guest artist you've never heard of, and then they'll just come on and kill it, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna look them up.
I'm a fan now, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's gonna set you into a fucking rabbit hole, and you're like, oh, this person's sick. It's happened quite a few times with this type of shit, which is really fun. That's one of the exciting things about it, I think. Like, it's unfortunate for the artist that's trying to get out there, and you want them to be more popular than they are, but I think digging like this is a good way to find artists like that, so it's cool.
Maybe that's how I found Sadistics, through that feature on Mac Lethal song.
Speaking of Mac Lethal,
opposite.
I had mentioned it in the bullet points for the episode, but there was a brief period of time where Grieves and Mac Lethal were feuding because Mac Lethal had recorded an entire album on Rhymesayers, and they were like touring together and shit. And your brother tells this story way better than I do, but they were touring together and shit, and they ended up having like bad blood or whatever. And even on the tours, they would be talking shit about each other like during their live sets. And for whatever reason, the Rhymesayers version of that Mac Lethal album was canceled, but it's still out there. You can still get it. It's called like 1111, I think.
No, I think that's his first album. Right?
I'm pretty sure it's this. Your brother's told me this story many times, but you could double check me if you want to. Because I have two different versions of 1111 on my iPod. I have the Rhymesayers version, and then the other one.
Where's Brandon? He should have been here to be our fact checker. Brandon, pull it up.
Brandon wouldn't care about this artist, so he wouldn't even know.
Continue on, sorry.
But guess what? He's not going to be here for Coheed then.
Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's that album because, again, I have two different versions of that album on my iPod with different song sets altogether. And I got it from your brother, and he told me that story during that.
Yeah, my brother said it's probably true.
They had a pretty big falling out and shit, and that's what eventually led to Mac Lethal not being part of that label anymore. Because because Mac Lethal didn't spend hardly any time there, and it was because of that little feud with Greaves. Because Greaves is like one of their baby boys, like they're looking after him and shit. And that feud got kind of wild for a minute. And I think there's even a couple of tracks that your brother showed me. There definitely is at least one each of them going back and forth at each other. Um, so that's pretty interesting. Look it up if you like rap feuds, if you like rap beefs.
I think I read somewhere one time that Mac Lethal slept with his girlfriend.
That's probably what it is, especially based
Think
in Greaves' lyrics and shit. It's probably what it
again,
is.
yeah, take that with a grain of salt. But I do remember this beef, and I want to say it's because, but take that with a grain of salt. Anyways,
Yeah, Mac Lethal's just cool. I felt like I'd bring it up because I kind of like him too. I'm a fan. He's a
I
little
like
bit
Mac Lethal.
cheesier than some of these other dudes now. Like he's let himself get to a point where he's kind of lame, but he was cool. He was tight. I was a big fan for a little bit there.
wow, man, I like his newest release, Winter Heartbreak 2. I think that album's his best album.
Yeah, that album was really good. I actually did
But
listen
I
to
know
that one.
what
It
you're
was good.
talking about. Like,
Yeah,
congratulations, that album was.
he's just become kind of pompous. Like he does the
Yeah,
YouTube videos and he talks shit about his fans that misspell words and makes a whole ass song about it and shit. It's just like, fuck, dude. Like, come on. Um, so
yeah, he
yeah, let's
might
talk
read the
about this
comments
one.
a little too much.
I think he does. He lets the wrong shit get to him. So 2019's The Collection of Mr. Nice Guy. I actually hadn't even heard of this one until you put it on the playlist there, so I'm glad you did. Um,
This is, yeah, what you'd call his newest thing.
yeah, out of fucking nowhere. I thought it said he had an album from 2021.
No, he has an album from 2017. He did the one after Winter and Wolves, which was Running Wild. But again, I was on the 5 album thing, so I was trying to kind of leapfrog a little bit. I did first,
Yeah,
middle,
but
and then end.
but in his discography, there's an album listed as Canopy from 2021. What is that?
But that's just a collection of beats.
Oh, okay, that he
I
made.
don't think, yeah, I don't think he raps in any of it. If I remember right, it's not a rap album; it's a beat album of all ones that he made.
Hell yeah, I'll have to actually check that out. I want to check that out actually. But anyway,
Beat me up, Scotty.
yeah, Collections of Mr. Nice Guy. Danny, how did it grab you?
This one was the better of the two, even though, like I said, I didn't really care for these two as much as the others.
Oh, that's right. You listened to Running Wild too, huh?
I did not know. I listened to
Okay.
88 Keys.
Yeah,
Okay.
Keys.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Sorry.
Perspective is a great song. December, and then Games was the other one that kind of stood out to me. But yeah, this one was a little bit better. You can tell this is a more recent release. Um, I don't know, for me in my ear, just from the gap of 2007 to this, you can totally see a jump in production value and even some of his lyrics and stuff like that. So I might have appreciated it a little bit more than the other one because this one came later. And I'm not sure why I'm grouping them together, but they just look like they were similar.
like
um,
companion pieces or something.
right.
Yeah,
So, but this one I felt like it connected to this one a little bit more. So yeah, I mean, if he's got newer stuff out coming out shortly, I would like to hear it because I feel like this would be his most recent stuff, unless he was featured on something.
He does this actual collection is just a bunch of singles he was constantly putting out kind of back to back to back to back, and then he kind of did this collection and added like 1 or 2 songs. But that's what he's been doing a lot lately is just a lot of just single songs or features because he's got on his list right now I think a couple other ones that I haven't even listened to, like Why Not 2. That's a little EP he did with Mouse Powell, which is pretty decent.
Interesting.
But
yeah.
yeah, no.
That's it.
So that's it.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
all
I
you got.
wasn't sure. No, I thought Danny wasn't dead. I thought he was just asking a question, like mentioning. Yeah, so I
Oh.
thought I was just okay. No, I like this new style Grieves. Like Running Wild, I was a little skeptical on. I know you didn't listen to that one, Danny, and I'm guessing you haven't either. Practical, but it's the one he. It's the one he did after Winter and the Wolves, and it's definitely a departure in his style. He kind of does more of what he does with collections of Mr. Nice Guy. It's an okay album. It's got some cool songs. I didn't put it on here for that reason because I don't really have a lot to say on that album. Not that it's bad. It wasn't one that ever landed with me. But this collection I really like. Perspective, probably my favorite song is "I'll Be Better." I think that is a great like breakup love song. Like I think it's a great, well, not a love song, I guess, but a breakup song. I think it's great. Like uh he's got that thing. He says, "Slowly drifting farther apart with both hands out. I remember when I used to be your man, and now you treat me like a roommate that you can barely stand." And then later on, he says, "Oh yeah," he says, "The heart wants what the heart wants." Man, I fucking hate that saying. I don't know. It's just, it's like one of those things that people will say, like when they say, like, you made fun of earlier, it's not me, it's you. Or it's not you, it's me. However you want to be a
Right.
dick about it. But no, I thought it was just cool. He throws that in. Like, again, he's not crazy intricate in the things he throws out, but I do like kind of how he articulates this stuff. And that one, December, Let the Devil In, Caliber. I really like Caliber. That song was a good story told right there. Kind of short but sweet.
St. Clair is another artist that you can look into after this because
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, no, go ahead.
I was just agreeing with you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just I'd already heard her on something else, so when she popped up here, I was stoked. I was like, oh shit, here's another opportunity because I didn't know I didn't even know about this, so it was cool.
Oh,
But
that
yeah,
is tight.
yeah.
Randomly see one of these people that you were talking about on here.
Well, same thing
Hell
with
yeah.
Chris Webby. That's another person your brother had shown me, and then I was like, oh, Chris Webby. That must be some new shit there mixed together.
Webby, you
Not
say?
a fan of him. I saw him live last time I saw Grieves, actually. And I just did not. I'm just not a fan of his style.
I get
That's
that.
just me.
I don't love him. It's just he's a name I recognize because of your brother. Like I said,
Yeah, of course.
he'll fucking throw so many of these people at me. It'll take me years to get through them all most of the time.
Dude, I'll bring it up to him too later on. Be like, dude, these guys are sick. Be like, yeah, I know. I showed you.
Yeah,
What?
definitely. Yeah.
Fucker.
For me, this was good, but I still prefer the older stuff that we've talked about already. Primarily Together Apart and 88 Keys, which we got to talk about in a minute for sure, just because
For
we
sure.
gotta. But I do think there was some good stuff on here altogether. Like Let the Devil In was probably my favorite song on the album, um, and Beethoven as well. I like that one. But it wasn't like my favorite. And that's what the question that I was going to ask you. You already kind of half answered because I was going to say, how is newer Grieves other than this? And now that I know there's really only that one album, that Running Wild, which I have not heard, I was going to ask you like how you feel about newer Grieves, but since the other one's an instrumental, I guess it's not as relevant. So
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not sure if it all is, but I'm pretty sure it was when it released. I looked into it.
hell yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, so one question I have before we move on to his impact and legacy, because he's kind of more of like on the pie chart of impact and legacy. Like he's part of a sect of things where I think, he'll be in there. But my question is for Danny. And I'm wondering between Sadistic and Grieves, how are you feeling about this kind of stuff so far?
I feel like they're both different. I feel like I really like Sadistic. I like his style, but I think I related more with this because of the style, which is weird to say. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like white rappers are just as credible as any of the big name typical black rappers that everybody thinks about. Like you really don't think when you see some of these guys that you probably see them walking down the street, you wouldn't know that. Oh man, this guy spits bars.
Yeah, right.
And seeing a picture of both of these guys and what they look like could have fooled me. I wouldn't know. Guys in front of me at Whole Foods buying like cantaloupe or something. Like, oh yeah, man, come check out my hip hop shop. Like, the hell did you just say to me? What?
The fuck?
Yeah, right. You rap? Excuse me. But I like them both. I like them both, and they're different in different ways, I guess you could say. But I think I related more to him, to Greaves, versus Sadistic.
For sure. Every time we do a rap artist, I want to check the gauge. Like, where's Danny at with
You
it?
my fucking rap therapist.
Kinda. We have
How
to
does that
be.
make you feel?
Hey, man, I just want you to enjoy what we're showing you. I never want you to hate it.
I hate something. I know it. It's kind of
I'm
just
sure
what
you
it is.
Dude,
will.
I can't wait
I'm
to
sure
listen
you
to
I'm
will.
Wu
due for a
Tang.
hating.
When you get on to Wu Tang, I got
Wu-Tang's
a
not bad.
bad feel. Yeah, but what Wu Tang have you really heard?
I've heard a lot actually
Oh, okay.
because Lamont used to listen to that a lot when him and I first started hanging out. So I'm very familiar with the Wu.
Hell yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Wu Tang forever. Um, so that's actually that question I asked you, and your response is a perfect segue into the legacy impact thing. So it's like there are two schools of thought here. There's going to be the impact and legacy that is left by both white rappers and just the underground rap scene in general, because it will never hit the heights of like the mainstream, like Dre and Kendrick nowadays and
Well, I
Drake,
think he
shit like
checks
that.
both boxes. Honestly, I mean, especially for white rappers, like yeah, I think he'd be somewhat of an influence to someone that's up and coming, and everybody always says Eminem, and obviously probably Atmosphere, but you don't hear other people dropping some of these other guys' names: Sadistic, Grieves, um, Mac Miller, for crying out loud. But
I'm gonna shout
I
out Vanilla Ice,
yeah, Vanilla Ice, dude. I mean, everybody knows the Ice Ice Baby. Motherfucker just stole the beat. It's fine.
but he paved
But
the way for other white rappers,
oh, he
though.
absolutely did.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be somewhat a part of it. I don't think he's like one of those monumental guys like a Eminem or Vanilla Ice or something like that. But he'll have somewhat of an impact because like I was saying before, his music is good. His lyrics are great. Um, it kind of flows. He's not kind of all over the place. He doesn't sound super aggressive, which I feel like sometimes rap can kind of get pushed into that corner of, oh, it's always violent. Blah, blah, blah. Well, not really. No, I think it's just more about the true knocks of certain people's lives and certain turmoil and tribulation and crap that they go through, and they're just getting it out pretty much in a story. So you got to kind of appreciate that. So coming from a white rapper's perspective, it's different, but it's almost quite refreshing. So
Hell yeah. Yeah, no, I get that, and I
is that all
don't
right for
disagree.
you, Doc? Is our time up?
No, I just I wanted to bring it up because there's there's clowning that goes on to the white rap audience, or the white rappers. Like people will clown on them, like, "Oh, you're a white rapper. Like, what is that? Where has that ever gotten anybody?" And blah 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 blah. So it's like they face a completely different struggle in that game, and even Eminem himself talks about it. And obviously, it doesn't apply to him anymore, but he had
Mm-mm.
mentioned it early on in his career. As it being like a problem. And a lot of these underground rappers will mention it too sometimes in interviews and their frustrations of like, oh, we're touring nonstop and nobody gives a shit about us because we're white, we're just white rappers, like, and they all get lumped into one category. But I think it speaks to a bigger volume of things with things like Rhymesayers, because Rhymesayers is owned and operated by Slug. Um, at least I think co-founded. I know he's part of the everything that goes on, which means that he's helped sign some of these people and found new talent. And Rhymesayers has really made a name for themselves. I mean, they have Aesop Rock, who's another huge name that we will absolutely be getting to at some point. He's a huge favorite of mine.
Hell
He's like
yeah.
top three for these guys, really, for me. But you got to think these guys have carved out their own little legacy in the underground, which is pretty cool because it's not very big. But those of us who do know about it know of at least 5 to 6 artists at minimum in this realm, and it's like it's its own thing. And I remember when I was into the scene music and shit, when I started to get into this, I felt cool, I felt super sick because I was into like the
You're
underground
so
metal
tight.
scene and the underground hip-hop scene.
So cool, dude.
it
Underground.
Yeah, it just made you feel like you're a part of something, because your brother would even show me, and I'm sure you, the battle rapping shit during this time period too was huge. So I'd just sit here and smoke hella weed and watch those dudes fucking battling it out and shit, and just get lost in
If
500
you
videos
guys
of
want to
battle
see a
rap.
great one, look up Dirt versus Daya.
Hell
Dirt
yeah.
Dirt rap battles a dude with no arms and legs and calls his ass a gummy bear. he said he said the shit looked like a gummy bear when they chalked the spot. So it's
Hella fucked up.
dude, he says it too. He's like, I'm not gonna go easy on you. Fuck yeah,
But
but
yeah, I
I
mean,
agree with you.
how do you feel, Rex? Yeah, what do you?
I agree with you. It's weird to say it's that white rappers are kind of the minority and the ignored kind of population of rap because they really are. You have your few, you Bubba Sparks, you have, Eminem.
Sparks.
I don't know very many big ones either. Like I guess you could call Jack Harlow now and like the new age white rappers like G-Eazy, him, but I
Kid
don't know.
Laroi.
It's also a weird thing because for me personally, and it could be due to being able to relate. Like I'm just not part of that culture that fully understands everything from not alike. I just don't. That's just the true fact of it. And but that song is sweet. Song is hella tight, but I don't understand all the cultural importance of that song. And same with a lot of Kendrick stuff. But I think Kendrick's a great rapper. But as far as rappers like Grieves and them, I think lyrically and a lot of times in their beat selection and production are far ahead of who's out these days. Like I mean, I believe there's probably a few underground rappers who could go toe to toe with Eminem. Eminem is good. That's not a doubt in my mind. He's one of the best in the world, but being famous isn't about how good you are. It's about luck and timing. That's how famous. That's how a lot of people who get famous are. Like, there's always a better drummer than Lars Ulrich or whoever that is. I don't know. Sorry, I'm getting them all messed up. But I'm just saying,
Favorite band?
yeah, my favorite. But I'm just saying is like, even though they're famous, doesn't obviously make them the best in the world. Because there's
Yeah.
some dude in his basement or some
Like
band
The
who's got a
Rock?
guitar player or someone that's better than a lot of people out there. And I feel that happens a lot with these rappers, especially these like underground white rappers like Sadistic. His lyrical somersaults. He's crazy. Greaves is good for his own thing, and Slug is really good. But I just feel like a lot of these guys just don't get their dues, even though they're better than what's out there. 90% of what's out there. And it's part of the underground thing. Everybody always says the underground music scene is better, which is true. But I don't know, for rap, I feel like when your merits are based on like your rhyming skills, your lyrical prowess, your storytelling abilities, I just feel it's kind of crazy that these guys get so sidelined. Like
For
even
sure.
Tech Nine is one of the biggest under independent artists in the world, but he's still not that big. But there's not one person I've ever met who didn't know who Tech Nine was. But he's still not on like Drake's level or something like that, or something
Or what
close to it.
about
He is.
what was the guy with the mask?
MF Doom.
MF
Yeah,
Doom.
MF Doom. Yeah.
Like these rappers are really good, and by the rap standards, the prowess that they show should shoot them into a spot to be talked about, but they just don't. And whether
Right.
it's skin color, whether it's just obviously not being able to be heard by millions and stuff like that, like has a play in it, but I still think it kind of slided. And for Greaves and his legacy, I know he doesn't have the biggest fan base, which to me is sad. And I think he should be heard by a lot more. But I hope he has a real legacy in the rap game, especially the underground rap. I feel like it's a little too early to tell, but I do think he'll spawn rappers that will take from his style and hopefully lead us into the next generation of great underground rap.
Hopefully. I know there's some new ones out there that people keep telling me about, but I just haven't looked into them yet. Um, also,
Acumental, I think could toe to toe with Eminem sometimes from Palmer
oh,
Squares.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I'm like sometimes I listen to his rhyme schemes and stuff, and I'm like, dude, no way.
I just want to say that we here at Beyond the Credits and Chords do not feel, at least collectively, that Lars Ulrich is the best drummer out there in metal. No, hell no.
No way.
I just
Just as an example,
I just wanted to say that I had to distance myself from that comment for for numerous reasons. Lars is great at what he does. He's great for Metallica, but he's not a great drummer. And I just had to say that because fuck him.
Good call.
Anyway,
best drummer in the world.
so extra credit. We've never really done this, but we can't skip this album. So let's talk a little bit about 88 Keys and Counting before we sign off. Um, I think I was shocked to not see it on your list. I feel like, again, maybe it's just the time period in which this album was presented to me, but I think this is his like masterpiece album. I think it's my favorite album by him. Catapults and Kings, October in the Graveyard, Life in the Hive, Guinevere. I mean, like every Budo composition on this is fucking so good. And
Lockdown.
yeah, Lockdown, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Greedy Bitch. I like it. I think it really shows off the two of them at their peak. Really, Together Apart for me doesn't quite hit as hard or as good as this album does. For whatever reason, I think that everyone is just firing on all cylinders here, and I think 88 Keys is, you know, it's the album to check out if you're trying to get into this guy. How do you guys feel about it?
Yeah, I would have swapped it out with the Confessions, not Mr. Nice Guy.
Mr.
Uh,
Modest.
Mr. Modest.
Mr. Modest. Yeah, I would have
Yeah.
swapped it out with that one. Nothing against Mr. Modest.
No way.
Yeah, I liked this one collectively more than that album. All those tracks that you mentioned, Practical, yeah, Lockdown was a big one for me. It was good though. It was kind of right in the middle of the meat of him, going from that to um, something apart. What is it?
Together Apart.
Together apart. Yep,
Yeah.
together apart. Got it. And then
I don't think you got it.
leave me alone. Anyways, I really liked this one, and I wish he didn't forget it, but he did. So
No, I definitely
I
didn't
did do the
forget.
extra credit.
I definitely didn't forget.
Yeah,
It
you
was a
did.
conscious. It was a conscious, tough choice.
Bullshit.
I get it. I mean, maybe it's
Was.
why Bont will leave off The Exorcist from the freaking list and things like that. It's like, all right, well,
He wants you to try something new.
yeah,
I'm glad he didn't have it on there, honestly.
get a little flavor.
It's got flavor. I mean, I didn't choose this album not because I don't like this album or it falls below. I mean, I like this album more than I like Winter and the Wolves. But the point I put some of these on there was just to kind of gloss over his whole thing he's got going on now. So it was no hate,
Yeah,
and it was a tough decision for me because there's a ton of songs on here that are great, and 88 Keys is just in general a great rap album. And Nature versus Nurture, Lockdown. I really like Greedy Bitch because I swear in California where I grew up, I knew like 5 of these dudes. Just all within that I knew personally, and like when I hear this song, I have a friend Tim. He's the epitome of this song, and I've showed him this song. I was like, dude, this guy is you to a point. Like, because that's just how he is. It's just the way the life is. But yeah, Life in the Hive, October Graveyard, Catapults. This album is good. I've got nothing against this, but I wanted to make sure we got a whole span because I was really holding on to that 5 albums. I didn't want to put it and be like, oh, someone's getting happy there.
Someone's
6
getting
albums,
it.
huh? Someone's getting a
getting
little
trigger
too,
happy.
yeah, getting a little too trigger happy there. But no, I really like this album. I do think this was a great introduction for Budo in his collaboration for the next few years they have, and this album is definitely pretty. I don't know where I rank it, but I do really like this album. I feel like not putting on this list, I got to be a little defensive because this is a great album and I didn't put it on the list, but this is a good album and I do like it.
Hey, just know that it's fine. I'm just always gonna call it out if I see something like that missed off something. It's like you do a Roman Polanski like we got coming up and you don't put Rosemary's Baby on it, I'm going to question that. Now, obviously, we've already talked about it, but like, you got to question shit like that. It's like, well, I mean, they're known for this thing or that's their biggest, contribution to it so far. So why are we leaving it out? But I'm not saying that for sure with Grieves. I just found it personally shocking because I know even amongst your brother and I, that's 88 Keys is a solid ass album that everyone talks about.
It's a
when
great
Grieves is brought
album.
up. So. But yeah, speaking of Roman Polanski, that's what we got on the docket for next week.
Next weeky, Roman Polanski. Dude
Yeah.
might have done something bad.
He's definitely done some bad shit, but he's done some good movies. He's a bad motherfucker and behind the camera anyway.
And we'll have Brandon back because I'll be next to him. We're going to be sharing a microphone, if you know what I mean.
I can't even imagine how bad that room smells.
Oh, it's going to be rancid, my friend.
Wow.
That,
Wow.
that,
For Roman Polanski, though, we're going to talk about Rosemary's Baby, Chinatown, The Tenant, The Pianist, and I think that was it. I might have missed one.
One more.
I must not have written that one down. What was it? Oh, Carnage.
Carnage. Yeah.
Carnage, yeah.
I've not seen any of these.
Carnage is great, man. Like that, I always try to show that movie to people. But yeah, Roman Polanski, got kind of a checkered past, but can't talk directors on the show and not bring him up. Cannot talk about him. So also excited because you pick those movies because you haven't seen those as well, just like
I haven't
Aronofsky.
seen any of them.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm like a
Well,
Bambi going into these babies. Fresh as
hell
fuck.
yeah. Well, everyone, this has been Grieves, Seattle, Washington rapper. Check him out. He's got a nice discography.
Been great, Graves.
Hell yeah. I am your host, Practical.
I am your host, Danny Boy.
Rex.
And we will catch you guys next week.
Why didn't you say I'm your host too?
Yeah, you fucked up the chain.
You fucked it up.
This is the chain gang, all right? Even though the only one of us who wears a chain is not here right now. But
Exactly.
He broke the chain.
He's making me wear it in Vegas, dude. I feel like somebody's gonna take it off my
You
neck.
both are gonna
like
share it?
Devo.
shit.
No,
Yeah,
I
we'll
have
be
my
like-
own, dude. He gave me one.
Stuck at the hip.
Hell
My
yeah.
homie LeBlanc gave me that chain.
Well, maybe if you get into a dire situation, you can gamble that chain for millions.
No, dude, that chain ain't worth $40.
$10
Could
on
be
a blood.
something.
$10 on a roulette table could win you millions, man. Don't
There's no
underestimate that
$10
chain.
table, dude. Unless we're going to
You
Fremont.
got to go to the poor man's Vegas.
I'm not going to Fremont Street,
That's
dude. That's where
Reno.
you get
Let's
stabbed.
talk about Reno.
Oh well,
You got to come to poor man's Vegas.
Hell no, dude. If I go to poor man's Vegas, I'm going to Laughlin.
Reno sucks. Anyway, we'll catch you guys next week.
Reno sucks.
You
Later.
suck.
But you suck.